You know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it back there. Yeah, I got game, got in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it Turnpike Miles. Yeah, it's Google signing on, John to the Hancock, and I'm always key, I'm ready to unlock. I be doing big things.
Welcome back, everyone, to the newest edition of Once a Week. I'm Billy Jan Ludis, and as you guys can see, we have another special guest in store for you today to share her knowledge and share her impact. And to tell you guys straight up, after talking to our guest a few times, I can honestly tell you she truly does create a massive impact just with the presence she gives off and the presence she walks in. Guys, she is a coach herself who set out to help moms achieve their goals and achieve their purpose. She is also a speaker, reaching audiences with what God has placed on her heart to share. And she's an author of her very own children's book. And last, but guys, definitely not least in a long list of accolades, she is also Miss Texas. And truthfully, I feel I can go on and on with ways she is helping everyone around her. But everyone, I give you Jennifer Daly. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us here on Once a Week.
Thank you, Billy. Happy to be here.
Yeah, right? I know. It's like I've been talking to you a couple of times. We had a connection, the fact of speaking to a company you work for just as much, but it built a connection between you and me where you're trying to help people just as much as I am. From coaching, speaking, everything you do. How did you step into that realm in Cheering on Moms, which is the name of your business? Tell us about that. What is Cheering on Moms for that matter?
You know, Billy, I was one of those people in high school that I loved cheerleading. Like, it was my life to the point where I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was like, I just want to be a cheerleader forever. This is so fulfilling. But what I found over growth and many years of God just creating me and developing me into who He has called me to be is that I was an encourager at the heart. That is why I love cheerleading so much. Cheerleaders are just loud encouragers. and so I wanted to take that aspect of who I am as a cheerleader, as an encourager, and combine it with my just love.
All right, so here we go. So you were mentioning, Jennifer, I know there's a little cutout right there, so everyone, if there was a little blip, don't worry, we're going to flow it all together. But Jennifer, you were mentioning how you did all this cheerleading back in the day, and you were really kind of walking with where God wanted you to go with your life, and you realized cheerleaders are helping so many people. They're massively supporting everyone. So pick the ball up. What were you diving into right there before the connection kind of froze for a second?
I realized that cheerleaders are just really loud encouragers and, really good with jumps and everything else to get people motivated. And so that's what I found is that really at the heart of who I am is an encourager. And I want to help moms transform from going where they just feel guilty and bogged down, where they can't do what they want to do. They're in this it's where I was. I was in this point of my life where I wanted to be 24/7 about my girls, and I realized that that's not really healthy for them or myself. And so I was able to break out of that mom guilt I was wrapped in and realize it's important that I develop as a person and that they see me doing things for themselves, because that teaches them how to have goals and how to go for things. So when I went through that transformation, I realized it's so important to help others through that transformation as well. And about 3 years ago, cheeringonmoms.com was born.
Phenomenal. I love that, especially with the fact of moms for sure, but families in general. I get to work with so many different families, and there's a perspective from a family dynamic where if you become a parent, there are definitely sacrifices you have to make for sure, but it's never meant to hinder you. It's meant to help you continue to grow into yourself. And for a lot of us, for a lot of parents for that matter, we take ourselves, we put ourselves on the back burner, and then we decide later in life, that's when we'll pick the ball back up again. So for you to step in the process of cheering on moms and to go through the process yourself, it really shows how everything we go through is meant to help us. It all works together for that matter. So these moms that you're helping and helping them realize that their daughters, their sons, whoever it might be, could be adopted, the whole 9 yards, you create such an impact the more you continue to follow your purpose, follow your path for your family members, but everyone you come in contact with. So with Cheering on Moms, starting 3 years ago, everything like that, Jennifer, have you had any specific clients or specific opportunities where they catch on right away, or they might take longer for that matter, but you see the steps really come together with Cheering on Moms and helping people individually? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have had so many people to come to me that are not moms, but that just have these massive goals and they are goal getters. They're what I call the goal getters. And that's really what I want to see. And a lot of women that come to me will have, hey, I see this vision for myself. I want this thing. I just don't know how to get there. And I feel that the accountability that I bring, the support is so important. I did a series recently called Ready, Set, Goal. It was a 6-week live on Instagram. And the last one I did this Monday was on accountability because there are statistics that show so much that, we can have all these great goals, but unless we have someone almost holding our hand and saying, you got this, you can do this, let's go with this plan, 95% of people that have accountability will reach their goal. And gosh, there's so many people that need to reach those goals because the world needs those people. You have talents that I don't have. The world needs what Billy has, and I can't offer that. So with my clients out there, I'm like, hey, I'm not the answer. Let me help you be the answer for somebody else in your sphere. And I think that's so important.
That's so powerful too. And connecting to a faithful perspective too. That's helping people walk in their power, walk in what they're called to do, their purpose, as you say. And I find that whether it's coaching or whatever, and as I mentioned before, we go through our struggles and a lot of us question why we went through it. Or we go through stressors or problems in life and we question, whether we question God or we question just in general, like, oh, come on, why? Why does this keep happening to me? But then as you're helping people, when people decide to take a step of growth and see things from a higher perspective, as we're called to do, you start to see, oh, I went through that so I could help the next person in line. And so for you, being a mom yourself and realizing like, okay, I need to make sure I'm still improving myself so I can improve my girls and everything like that. These people that you are helping, doesn't have to be a parent, as you said, it could be anyone that comes across your way. You're not just helping them be a better parent or be a better person, you're helping them walk in being a better version of themselves, which in turn improves everyone they come across. That's like taking your light and then shredding it like, hey, you have a light too, you have a light too. That's, I think, one of the greatest impacts you can do as a coach, and that's what I try and do as a coach, but it shows you're walking that same path. I think just being human in general is meant to realize you have a light to bring. We're the only ones that can truly dim it ourselves, but you're helping people realize they're not meant to dim whatsoever. That's awesome.
Posted something recently. We are human beings, not human doings. So there are ebbs and flows. We have seasons of highs and lows and seasons of learning and growth. I feel like I'm constantly learning and growing. But I think that those down seasons are important to show, hey, we need breaks. We need rest as humans. We need to fall down and get back up because we can rise up stronger. And I think that's something so important that I try to model for my girls is they see me when I'm burnt out or I'm stressed. I'm very real with that. And, they know I need a night. I need to go to bed at 7 o'clock at night. That mom's having a day, like that's what I need to do for myself. So then it allows them to give themselves grace to be human and have a day and say, hey, this may not be the perfect day. I'm just gonna take an early night. I'm gonna rise up tomorrow and be better. I think that's so important for us.
That's powerful. That's so powerful in itself, especially to teach your girls. But people listening right now, I want you to really take hold of what Jennifer just said in the sense of, because I've got clients that say the same thing to me. And I'm a positive person. I show up with a lot of energy and I love it. It's just who I am as a personality for that matter. But I've got clients that might be going through it at times. And they are afraid to essentially put the bag down for the day. Where it's like, hey, like you said, if I gotta go to bed at 7, I'm going to bed at 7 because you feel it. Like, we're not supposed to reach burnout in life, but the more that pedal hits the metal, we think that's supposed to be the norm. And I think society kind of puts that on us now where, we're both faithful people. The Bible tells us you need to take rest. And if you don't take it, one, your body's going to tell you to do it. If you don't listen to your body, life will tell you to rest just as much. But when you allow yourself that opportunity, as you instill in your girls, essentially speaking, now they can grow to a point where in life they might be hitting the wall or trying to hit everything on every end for that matter. And then they're really, oh my goodness, wait, I know what my mom did. And she knew her limits. But the more we have our limits, the more, and people think, oh, no limitations. Like, no, you should have self limits just as much so you don't receive burnout. And I believe just as much, you might be going through it, a listener right now, where life is really barreling down on you. And if you start to realize that, this is something I used to say to my audiences, we have this imagery in the world, not just the country right now, of you need to grind to get to the top of the ladder. But if you look at the imagery of that, which is all of us do, grinding is like taking a rock and grinding into dust. So if you have all this energy and you're grinding to get to the top of the ladder, you're not going to have the energy to enjoy the top of the ladder, top of the mountain when you get there. So I use the terminology of hustle. And you think of a game, an athlete, a cheerleader for that matter, to put hustle into something, you're putting your energy into it, but you also know in an athletic standpoint, you take breaks because you need to rejuvenate. You need to be able to. And for people listening, if you're in a moment, a season in your life where you might be struggling, stressing, the only way you can overcome that, I believe, which I try and instill in my audiences and clients, is you need to take a step back to check your perspective. Because sometimes you're hitting that wall and you have no energy consistently. But if you don't take that step back and realize what are your actions, what are your daily habits, what are your thoughts, how are you speaking to yourself, all these little finite details of just daily life, you then realize I am back in control. It's not my job that tells me I have to do X, Y, and Z. It's not society tells me I have to do X, Y, and Z. It's fully Billy in control of Billy, Jennifer in control of Jennifer, trusting there's a higher power guiding us, but then also realizing, all right, step by step, we'll get there. And that's what you do for people. Step by step, they will get there. It's like, I've watched your lives. I've seen them pop up and everything. And the information, I call it, it's wisdom. You're instilling in people. We need that. So I give you so much credit for that. And the moms or people you're helping, I have no doubt in my mind they're receiving so much from you, Jennifer. It's very powerful.
Thank you. I think something important for people to attach onto is that every opportunity is not meant to be your assignment. As Americans, we have so many opportunities. I'm so thankful for them. Busy schedules, full activities that we can participate in, but every good thing doesn't mean it's ours to take. You know, when we say no to something, it allows somebody else to come into that space. So I think the thing that moms can do really easily is get that guilt because we didn't sign up for the PTA bake sale, or we didn't go sign up to be the soccer mom, you know, and all these things that we can be that are good things, but they're not meant for us in that season maybe. So I think recognizing that it's a good thing, but it's a no for me right now means I can say a better yes to something else.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I like that in the sense of you bring up the bake sale and the soccer games, all that kind of stuff. And from a community standpoint, essentially, it's like it's great to be involved in the community, but you have to be involved with your family or your kids or whoever it is first. So I love that concept. And to build on it, how are you helping audiences, clients just as much with realizing the priority of you don't have to necessarily show up for everything that everyone around you is doing, but you need to show up more for the people closest to you. How do you kind of teach that with your clients and whatnot? Or do you see that become a stress or a struggle sometimes?
Yeah, definitely a stressor for most people. And I think what I really try to hone is that you are unique. So you are uniquely created on purpose for a purpose. So what your assignment and what your goals look like are going to be different than everybody else. And what we do as societies, we compare ourselves to everybody else. We make that success. What does that look like? What am I seeing on social media? We're not meant to be all the same. That's boring and that's no fun, and then you won't fulfill God's purpose for your life if you're trying to be like somebody else, because you're not meant to be like somebody else. So I really try to dive into their unique God-given abilities and skills and passions, and we hone in on that and then go from there as far as what those goals look like and how to get there. So I think just the important part, and that's why I created the book that you mentioned, Zoe the Zebra Meets Lexi the Lion. I have the amazing opportunity to go around and read that. I've been reading at schools the last couple of years, preschools, and I get to say to these kids, I'm trying to imprint on as an early age, hey, you are not meant to be like everybody else. Go to the playground, find someone that's different than you, and that may be your best friend. The whole story is about zebra and a lion like coming together and making these great friends that are this great team. And so that is my message to people from all ages. You are not meant to be like everybody else. You are unique, and when we bring our strengths and our differences together, we make amazing teams, and that's what our communities need right now.
That I love, especially for kids to learn that from your book and everything. That starts such an incredible process of perspective, but growth just as much. And I've worked with young kids for when I started in the therapy field, and just that comparison factor, like, as you mentioned, a lot of people don't lose that. And so to instill that in a kid nowadays, where it's like, hey, you're not supposed to be like everyone else. I always like the idea of, and you bring it up, where society, we're essentially told, thanks to social media now, every single post, compare yourself to this person, compare yourself to this person. It's sadly how social media became now for the masses. And, whether it's you posting, me posting, our goal is to break that framework so people can see themselves in a higher light, but also enjoy their life in a higher light. So with comparison, it's essentially saying to people now, like, you could compare yourself to someone else, or you can learn from that person. And that's what you instill now as a coach and a speaker, these young kids, is like, a little kid reads the book, or you're reading to a classroom for that matter, and they realize, oh, I don't have to compare to someone. The framework they could have grew up in the environment is their parents are constantly comparing themselves constantly, and it creates a negative stigma. So for you to come in like, oh, I don't necessarily have to be Jennifer, I can be myself. And then I believe at that point a massive door opens where people can see themselves in a higher light. But then they can learn from Jennifer. They can learn from Billy. They can learn from their families, their parents, and everything. Take the good, leave and toss the bad. Take the good from the next person. And friends, family, strangers, whoever it is, you realize there's a lot more good to go around and then a lot more bad. And I think nowadays more than ever in society, we're pushing the bad. We can't forget there's so much good in each of us to shine and bring to other people for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I've been given a wonderful opportunity through pageantry. You mentioned that a minute ago. Being Mrs. Texas has been an amazing opportunity because I wear this shiny hat, when I go out to places, and of course the eyes are like, ooh, and little kids are like, ooh. And so many people have this negative connotation of, and this negative imagery of pageantry that they've seen on TV because it's been exploited, and it's, all these negative things, but there's such a beautiful side of it where you get to encourage. And what I really try to do is not make the glam and the glitz about me, but let me be a reflector of his greater light, of God's light. Let me be a trail of stardust leading to the main star, if you will. That's kind of a way I like to say it. But I want to attract others so that I can reflect the good in the world and the good that we can do and accomplish together. So I'm so thankful for that aspect of my life, because it's going out, it's telling little girls when their moms are like, oh, do you want to be a princess one day? And I'm like, what I love about being a queen is that I get to help people. And so it's being able to have that opportunity to say, hey, this is shiny and this is fun and this is glitzy, but there's so much more and you can do this too. So I love that aspect.
No, I love that. I'm glad you brought that up because my next question was going to be how, from the standpoint of being Miss Texas, can you reach or impact people? And it's exactly that. And so I appreciate you sharing that because being the queen, helping people, everything like that, it takes the negative stigma, as you said, of what pageantry became, what a queen is, and everything like that. You're just meant to reach out a hand and help people from where you've made it, and that's what you're doing. Do you find, and this kind of connects to one, how did you get into pageantry? Is that as a young girl you kind of just, oh, I want to see what this is about, and then connecting it to the other questions we already asked, how did stress or in a way negativity, I guess, how did you overcome that while in the process of reaching Miss Texas and reaching this standpoint where you can reach out a hand and help people for that matter? What roadblocks were there?
How I got into it's kind of a funny story. I was not the first to get into it. My daughter, my oldest, is almost 13. When she was 6, she was scouted by National American Miss, and we didn't know what we were doing, but she wanted to do it, so we tried it out. She had amazing natural talent for it, took us to nationals to California. I mean, it was just a big deal, and we were like, we don't know what we're doing here. But we figured it out over the years. And then one day we were at a pageant and there was a Mrs. division. I had no clue Mrs. and pageants were a thing. And my girls look at me and they're like, well, you have to do it, mommy. And I was like, okay. And how do you say no to that? I mean, how do you say, I don't think I can do that? I didn't want to model that for my girls. So I'm like, okay, we're doing this and we're going to figure out how to do it. And so that was like 3 years ago. And I've been, having fun and meeting the most amazing people and serving the community through it. It's been amazing. But yes, like you mentioned, Billy, getting there are stressors in life and there are things that are overwhelming sometimes because I do work full time. I do coach, I do speak, and then also serve as Mrs. Texas. So like I was mentioning earlier, there are days that it kind of hits me and I have to take an early rest. I have to say, no, I can't take on any more appointments. And I think the key for everybody is knowing your limits and knowing when your body needs rest. And for me, I am a natural introvert. So being out with like lots of people and all the activities, things I do are very draining on me. I love them, but when they're over, I'm drained, I'm depleted, and I have to go and kind of be reclusive and just have a moment. So it's knowing that and building it into my schedule. Hey, if I have 2 weekends and I have big events back to back during the week, I'm not going to have events. I'm going to have downtime. And so I think that's important for us to know as humans is when being out with people, is that something that fills us up? Because a lot of people that does. Does it drain you? Does it fulfill you? What does? And then look at your schedule and build in your time that way.
I love that. And that's extremely powerful for people to listen to and utilize in their own life, essentially, where, we mentioned earlier, like limitations, you just emphasized and empowered it even more so, where we need to know how we're built up. Whether people listening right now are an introvert, maybe you are an extrovert, but Jennifer just, echoed a very powerful point of like, does it fill you? And I think nowadays a lot of people are reaching for areas that don't fill them, but it's what looked cool, and doesn't fill them, and they're drained, and they're unwilling to take a week off or a weekend off or even a day off, a couple hours for that matter, because we get caught in that mindset of go, 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 and that's not life. That's not what life's supposed to be. So I love that you just explained that. That's so powerful. And to reiterate a point that I want to mention with the pageantry aspect, just the fact, like, I want there to be someone that listens to this podcast, this YouTube video for that matter, and uses this, because what you said is even more powerful than the limitation aspect. When your daughter entered this contest, essentially competition, and then they saw there was an opportunity for mom to step up, you had a conversation with yourself, essentially, conversation with God just as much, and said, I don't know if that's me, but you're like, nah, if they see me do this, what confidence does that instill in the girls? What confidence does that instill in everyone else to be able to, oh my goodness, the door's right here. Am I going to knock on it? Am I going to open it? Or am I going to let it pass me by? And your girls start to realize, wait, mom's got so much confidence. You may describe yourself as the introvert aspect. You may describe yourself as extrovert, whoever's listening. Those opportunities in life will continue to pop up and show you that you can move through this door and become a whole different version of who you thought you were. So I give you credit, Jennifer, because that's so powerful. But for people listening right now, run with that. I think that's so incredible where anyone's watching you. What are you going to instill in them? Blip in connection, but we're going to pick the ball back up where we left it off. To reiterate what Jennifer and I were saying before the connection kind of went out was Jennifer exemplifies confidence to her daughters in the sense of, your daughter stepped into pageantry and then they looked at you and goes, Mom, you could do that too, essentially. And you had a little self-reflection moment where it's like, this isn't my area. And then, you know what? My girls are watching me. I'm going to show up. And that instills in them such a confidence. So before the connection ended, I put it on you listeners, you audience members, whoever it might be with this podcast and YouTube video right now. If there is someone watching you, it could be a son, daughter, a sibling, family member, anyone for that matter, maybe someone you mentor, a big brother, big sister type deal, or even a coworker for that matter. If people are watching you, which 99% of the time in the world that's happening, how are you showing up for them, for yourself, and what are you instilling in them? And if there are opportunities for you to essentially knock on that door in life where it's like, hey, what happens if I open this opportunity? And you have a moment of fear, of, I don't know if this is it, and then you choose to essentially move in faith. You know what? I'm going to give it a shot. Whoever was watching you in that moment, just as Jennifer's daughters did, were just inspired. In spirit, essentially, is what inspiration connects to. They are inspired to keep bettering themselves because they watched you do it. So I put it on these viewers, listeners, everyone. Think on that. Take a step back for yourself in perspective and realize, is someone watching me, and how am I showing up for them? How am I instilling in them? What am I instilling in them? So Jennifer, I give you so much confidence. I give you so much credit for doing that because it sets your daughters have such an incredible role model to look up to. And it's awesome to see. It really is. To move into our next question right now, you emphasized a key point prior to us recording on a different call we did to connect. You said a term, a phrase that I think was perfect in the sense of filling your plate. And to me, that echoed because that's essentially what we try to do in life where, you know what, I believe in having a full plate and moving forward on X, Y, and Z in my life. A lot of people don't choose to do that. A lot of people kind of just choose one thing and whatnot, but there's so much more to life to live when we can fill our plate. Can you emphasize that? And how does, in filling your plate, you kind of touched on it earlier, but how does stress play a role in filling your plate for that matter?
I think if we can visualize like our life, we're holding a plate. Some people have the size of a dessert plate. Hey, this is all I can take on right now. And some people have, I call it mine like the Thanksgiving platter. It's just like this big. And I feel like most of my seasons of life, I've been carrying a large platter because I want to run hard. And my goal is to fulfill what God has called me to do on this earth. And I love this saying that do what God is intended to do and you will set the world on fire. And so my goal here is long lasting impact of kindness and servitude. And so I want to run and do all that I can do. Now, going back to the stress, going back to being humans, yes, that shows up. And I think an important part is that grace to ourselves, because like I was saying before, I can model that to my girls. Hey, I am a human being. I'm going to have days I'm down. I'm going to have days that I just need to take a break and take a rest. So I think that that stress is a good thing because it allows us to be human and stretch and go sometimes, you know what, in this season, I need to pull back. I need to say no. I need to not do all the things. But when I can and when the opportunities are mine to take, I'm going to run and I'm going to run hard.
Right.
And so I think it's important to know ourselves and know what we can do, what we should do, and where we need to sit down.
That's awesome. I love that. And it kind of connects into the next question I was going to ask you anyways. Faith plays such a role in that. God plays such a role in that. I know faith is such a strong point for you as it is for me. I love the symbolism behind you with the cross saying rise and everything. That echoes so much for people. And whether someone's looking at this conversation from a faithful perspective or just a human perspective, that grace that you just touched on is needed. And we know, and whether someone's a believer or not right now, God blesses you with grace in everything you do. He blesses you with forgiveness, blesses you with power, spirituality aspects in so many different areas. Light, essentially. But to be able to take what he gives you and give it to yourself. A lot of us put a wall up where it's like, yes, it's from him, but we're unwilling to hold it. And if he gives you grace in such an incredible way, and then you can exemplify that grace and give it to yourself by saying, I can't do this today. I need to take a step back. I need to rest. I'm not going to go out with all my friends and everything. I need a rest for me. That's grace. There's so many areas that exemplifies it. So I reiterate everything Jennifer just said. But Jennifer, to kind of end on such a powerful note with this great conversation, how does faith play this massive role for you? How did that come for you? Did you come to it on your own? Was it there instilled in you from when you were a little girl? But I think a lot of people wrestle with faith today. And I just love showing people there's so many different perspectives, but at the end of the day, it's all love. It's all helping you. And why would we turn from that? But it plays a role in your life. So explain to us, what is that incredible role?
So for me, Billy, it's not an aspect of my life. It is my life. I did not just poof into existence. Like God created me for a purpose that is his. And so I don't go to church and have this extra component of Christianity on me. Like that is who I am. It's why I do what I do. You know, he gave me 2 beautiful daughters, like, and this life and the blessings that come from it, the grace we've talked about. So I think that's important, is that know where your faith is. Are you playing a part, or is it all encumbersome of who you are? And that is who I am to the core. And so I do not start a day without talking to God. Nice. That's just part of my everyday, because I got to get my mind straight. And, you know, I don't say like I feel sorry, but I have a lot of compassion for people that don't want to talk to God, or that don't believe in him, or don't have the faith, because I'm like, how do you get through your days? Who do you turn to? Because that's the thing I think that it's hard for people to understand, is the concept of God and a loving God and a grace and merciful God, because we are so human that we just can't grasp that sometimes, that someone can love us unconditionally. But when you choose to accept that, it's life-changing, transformational. And so that's what I did so many years ago when I was 6. I had the basic understanding of Jesus dying on the cross for me, basic understanding that I was born a sinner and that I needed him. And so ever since then, it's been growing and learning and understanding that it's a relationship, not a religion.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That ending point right there, as much as everything else is. And I think that in itself, like I agree with you. This compassion for people that I'm not even gonna call it becoming a believer, just for God, and people that are just like, that's not for me. And that's why I think it's so powerful in the sense of Scripture, where He's always with you, even if you don't believe. And I think that empowers so many people essentially, but it opens up new eyes. And for people to not want to accept God's love, accept what the Scripture states and everything, I think maybe you might see this as a coach just as much, but I see it in coaching. Like, we don't push that on people. It's like everyone makes their own decision. But if you're saying that you're not going to accept the love, the light, and everything that's there for you, on a self perspective, you're saying you don't have that for yourself. You don't have the love. You don't have the light for yourself. But if we are spiritual beings, if we're human beings, we're energetic beings, we're light. At the end of the day, that's what God is. He's light. He's love. He's instilled in us that light and love to shine to others. And to re-emphasize Jennifer's walk that she just explained, Jennifer, I have a very similar routine in the morning. Before we hopped on, we both described the fact that we woke up extremely early to go to the gym and start everything like that. The second that alarm clock goes off, I say a prayer, because that, to me, as you said, gets your mind right, starts the day with the right perspective, but also thanking God for the day, thanking Him for whatever blessings are in store. I believe anyone listening right now, you might not be a faithful person, but try this once. And what it does in a perspective of mindset is, if you thank God for the day and thank God for the blessings that are in store, you are now on the lookout, unconsciously and consciously, for the rest of the day, what good is going to show up. And 100 times out of 100, something good will show up, even if you have to take a step back and realize, you know what, you could have been depressed or whatever it might be, but today wasn't that bad. That's the grace that Jennifer and I describe right now. That's the faith. That's being able to trust that there is a higher power above you that is trying to guide you step by step in life. And if you allow it, which is at the end of the day what humanity is, you have free will to decide on anything in life. You have free will to decide if you want God to help you. If you say, you know what, yeah, let's see what this is all about, He will show up tenfold, and it's just such a peaceful feeling and a loving feeling that comes about. So Jennifer, I thank you so much for exemplifying that in your daily walk for years. As you mentioned, you've been doing it. It's just become the routine, but then to see the light that you now give off on a spiritual component, people listening right now, when you walk in the light, when you walk with the light, you then become a light bringer. And that's something I mentioned to Jennifer before our last call we did. I explained to her, you walk in a different energy. That's why I started this introduction for this entire interview with you walk in a different presence. That's God's presence. You walk in a different light. That's God's light, essentially. And when we choose to walk hand in hand with that, it's not saying there won't be struggles for people listening right now. It's not saying that. But every struggle is a growth opportunity. Every stress, just like in the gym, is meant to make you stronger. And when you have eyes that see that, ears that hear that, you then walk in that light and get better and better and better and better. As Jennifer has tried to do for herself, because everything is an opportunity for us to try it, but then also you instill in others, which is the basis of every single question we described today. You're instilling that in your girls. You're instilling that in these moms that you reach out a hand to. So Jennifer, I reiterate that back to you, but you are walking in this process. And, hearing it from him is one thing. Hearing it from me, I hope it brings some aspect of power just as much, but you're doing it. Everything the Scripture states, and you're seeing the results. So to connecting that, people listening, think about it. Just think about that. It's not go this way, go that way. See what it can do for you. But Jennifer, before we go into our last question, or to step into our last question for that matter, you kind of just hit the nail on the head. But is there a lasting message you want to leave with people before we kind of round out this entire interview?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that you listening are created on purpose for a purpose, and that you're uniquely designed to be a part of a community. You're not meant to do life alone. So on those lonely days, reach out. Just reach out to somebody. Find a coach like Billy that will, cheer you on. Or if you're a mom, find a coach like me that's going to cheer you on in this life, because we need what you have. It's going to make the world a better place.
That's awesome. Such a perfect period to end this conversation. So I thank you for that, Jennifer. And to kind of connect that now, where can people find Cheering on Moms? What's the website? Where can they find more information on you? What are your social medias? Give us all the connections right now. And guys listening, they're going to be in the credits and the link to the descriptions in this video. But Jennifer, tell us where we can find you.
It's super complicated, so you may need to write this down, but it's cheeringonmoms.com.
Perfect. Right.
And that's got the links to my socials and everything there. So yeah, cheeringonmoms.com.
Perfect. No, I appreciate that, Jennifer. And like I said, guys, that's going to be in the credits about to roll for you right now. But then also, guys, look her up. You know, seeing everything that Jennifer does, just getting to know her in the last few meetings I've had with her, I can emphasize the point that she brings such incredible energy. But to look her up, follow her on social media. If you are someone that a teacher, and you want Jennifer to come in and read the children's book that she's created to help kids learn this concept, reach out to her. Guys, that's how it all came across. It's like, I see what Jennifer does. I would love to have her and bring her to you guys because she brings such a positive message. Follow her on social media so when you wake up, whether you are a mom or someone else, she will instill in you such a powerful point. And she's not doing it for her own gain, guys. She's doing it for something greater and helping you. But when someone wants to reach out a hand, take a chance and follow Jennifer. Look up her website. See if you can become a client of hers. At the end of the day, we just want to help you guys. That's the whole goal of this entire message. But Jennifer, I thank you so much for being a part of Once a Week. I hope to have you on again sometime and share even more of your positive messages and experiences for that matter. But thank you again, and believe me, guys, give her a follow. She's going to have so much to bring to the table for you. But if you're looking to get in touch with Jennifer, go to the link in our description. You can go. I'll have her website right there for you. You can reach out to her. If you're looking for a coach, she's right there for you. I'm right there for you. Go to BillyGLifeCoaching.com. You can set up a call with us, and you guys will be able to continue the process. And please like this message on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button below so we can share this message to more people. And if at any point in this conversation with Jennifer, someone popped in your mind, that is a clear-cut sign, no doubt about it, that that person needs to hear what we said in this video. Share it to them, not for our own gain, but to help someone else out. At the end of the day, that's why we do this. And please subscribe to Once a Week on YouTube if you have not already. But again, rounding it all out, Jennifer, thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you, Billy. My pleasure.
Awesome.
You know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it back there. Yeah, I got game, got in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it Turnpike Miles. Yeah, it's Buku signing out.